everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order. Today is November 15th, 2022, and the time is 4:08 p.m. As a reminder, please note that board meetings are being recorded for the convenience of those unable to attend this video conference. Recording and closed captioning will be posted to the BERS YouTube channel following the meeting. Alex, could you please call the roll?
Yes, certainly. Tazeen Azad, Aaron Bogad, Janelle Chacon, Marjorie Dienstag.
Present.
Thank you. Gregory Faulkner.
Present.
Thank you. Cherie Gibson. I see you in the panel, but if you're speaking to us, I can't hear you. Cherie Gibson. Angela Green.
Present.
Thank you. Allison Hirsch.
Present on behalf.
Thank you. Ruth Maria Kenley.
Present.
Thank you. Kyle Kimball. John Maderick.
Present.
Thank you. Donald Nesbitt. Alan Ong. Kaliri Salas Ramirez.
Present.
Thank you. Sarita Scott.
Present.
Thank you. Thomas Shepard.
Present.
Thank you. Karina Tavares.
Present.
Thank you. Gladys Ward. We have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you, Alex. The first item on the agenda is calendar item number 1, noting of the minutes of the meeting of the Board of Retirement held on October 25th, 2022. May I have a motion to consider?
Motion from John.
Thanks, John.
Second.
And who seconded?
Caleras.
Thank you, Dr. Salas Ramirez. Okay, when I call out all in favor, if you wish to vote in favor of approving the minutes, please unmute yourself in response and respond in favor. Similarly, if you wish to oppose or abstain from the vote, please unmute yourself and respond accordingly when I call out any opposed or any abstentions. All in favor of approving the minutes for October 25th, 2022, please respond in favor. In favor, Tom.
In favor, John.
In favor, Greg.
Rena.
In favor, Angela.
In favor, Sarita Scott.
In favor, Marjorie.
In favor, Maria.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passed unanimously. The next item on our agenda is the Executive Director's update. Sandy, do you have any remarks for us?
Thank you, Tom. I'll keep this brief. New York City Board of Ed Retirement Systems Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Equal Employment Opportunity Plan for fiscal year 2023 has been filed and accepted in the last week with DCAS Citywide Equity and Inclusion. Michelle Pyram, Director of BERS HR, is available tonight to answer any questions you might have about that plan. This is a plan we can make available to you. It's available publicly. In a staffing update, good news, although maybe not for everyone in the city. In recent reports from the controllers of New York State and New York City, those reports have identified 21,000 open headcount across New York City agencies, or a 7% understaffing. And interestingly, while hiring is surging, with 40,000 hired in fiscal 2022, departures have outpaced that work. The Great Resignation is hitting all of us. For BERS, we stand today at 8 open headcount, with 4 scheduled onboardings in the next few weeks that will put us 4 open headcount, or 97% staffed prospectively, versus our peak open headcount of 16, which was 88% staffed approximately 6 months ago. The head of recruitment, Tanae Williams, human resources, and the leadership team that has been executing the hiring and interviewing have risen to the challenge of the Great Resignation. I'd like to thank them for their efforts. We continue to actively recruit with job postings and interviews occurring daily to complete the hiring goal and fill those last 4 headcount. In an effort to slow individual departures, Michelle Pyram and Lydia Amon of BERS HR are organizing meetings across BERS in the form of coffee and chat events at department level. At these meetings, we're using HR's analysis of exit interviews and departing staff, which was reviewed with trustees last month. And we're reviewing the value of employment with NYC and BERS and providing an opportunity for feedback and communication with staff in an attempt to raise security around their positions. For educational opportunities coming up in the future, these are not too near term, so I wouldn't be worried about them yet. But the Baruch Mopi Fiduciary Trust Educational Series continues to meet on Fridays. I'd like to thank the trustees that have been attending. And there are 4 potential opportunities for education for trustees coming in the early 2023. A Coriad Plan Sponsor Educational Institute, January 17th to 20th. An NYCBERS Legislative Conference, January 26th to 24th. A 2023 Pension Communications Summit sponsored by NYCBERS, January 23rd and January 24th. We expect to have our member communications unit represented at this event. And then finally, in New York City, an opportunity will arise on March 14th. The Market Group will be sponsoring its 10th annual Tri-State Institutional Forum in New York City. We will have a number of speakers at that event from BERS. If there are any questions, Tom, that's it from me.
Okay. So
Sorry, I just had a hard. What was that last event, Sandy?
It is Market Group. Let me get it back again. Just a sec. Market Group's 10th annual Tri-State Institutional Forum. It will be in New York City at Midtown. I have seen a preliminary agenda. As soon as the agenda is finalized, I'll be distributing it to all trustees. I expect we'll see that probably in December.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any questions for Sandy around his report? Okay, very good. Sandy, I do want to just say very quickly, I look forward to reading the diversity and inclusion plan. And I want to thank you and your team for your continued work in addressing the ongoing staffing issues at BERS. So the next items on this afternoon's agenda are calendar items 2 through 17, the ordinary business of BERS. May I have a motion to consider calendar items 2 through 17?
Motion from John.
Thanks, John. May I have a second, please?
Second from Karina.
Thanks, Karina. Alex, could you please tell us about the ordinary business of BERS?
Certainly, these are all the retirements, refunds, and death benefits that have been processed since the last meeting of this board.
Thank you, Alex. We will now vote on these items. All in favor of approving calendar items 2 through 17, please indicate your approval. Approved, Tom.
Approve, Greg.
Approved, Angela.
Approve, Karina.
Approved.
Approved, Sarita Scott.
Approved. Approved, Marjorie. Approved, Maria.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is in attorney-client session. May I have a motion to enter into attorney-client session?
Motion, John.
Thanks, John. May I have a second, please?
Second, Caleres.
Thank you, Dr. Salas Ramirez. Let's see. So let's vote. All in favor of entering attorney-client session? In favor, Tom?
In favor,
In
Allison.
favor, Angela.
In
In
favor,
favor,
Caleres.
Sarita Scott.
In favor, Marjorie.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Sharon, please move all trustees, BERS Executive Management, New York City Law Department, and BERS Legal into a breakout room and stop recording, please.
Okay.
So the next item on our agenda is calendar item number 18, authorization to enter into an agreement with Crown Castle Fiber LLC to provide internet and security services to the Board of Education Retirement System. May I have a motion to consider?
Motion from John.
Thanks, John. May I have a second, please?
Second, Caleres.
And from Karina. Oh, there.
Thank you,
Dr.
Karina.
Angela. I saw that door, Dr.
Thank you, Angela, Karina, and Angela. And Caleres. I appreciate it. Ooh, what just happened here? All right, there we go. Where are we? Could you, Sandy, sorry, could you please tell us about this resolution?
Actually, we're talking about the Crown Castle resolution, yes?
Yes.
And Jason Shen is here to answer technical questions, and Serena Height is here to answer any procurement questions. This is a contract for network services and reflects an increase in taxes and fees, which were not previously approved in resolutions. This is an extraordinarily important component of our infrastructure. And I would defer to Jason for any specific technology questions.
Okay, thank you. Jason, would you like to add anything?
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Jason Shen, Deputy Director of IT. Basically, we are looking at the services, the connectivity services provided by Crown Castle to reestablish the network topologies that was in place among our multiple data centers, as well as the 65 Court Street, due to the fact that the relocation of the 65 Court Street to Weehawken data center was a cause of DOE's, I guess, renovations of their current existing data center that we have servers on the 13th floor. And so this would reestablish the topology that was in place to provide redundancies as well as the backup backbone links to both the data centers from on the 55 Water Street, as well as the new data center location, which is in Weehawken area.
Okay, so thank you, Jason. Are there any questions from the board?
I have a question. I understand this is a contractor that already works for DOE. What was the procurement process used to get this contract? Are we just purchasing off the DOE's existing contract? Did we put it out for bid?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Sabrina.
Yes.
Hi, good afternoon. We're going to them, directly to them as an emergency.
I don't know if it's just my computer, but I can't hear whoever's speaking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, great. We're going directly to them as on an emergency basis. Crown Castle is already outfitted to make these connections in the Weehawken location, so that's why we're going to them. As far as revisiting next year, we can do that with something competitive or even a negotiated acquisition.
So there was no bid process. We just approached them and asked them to do this work?
Correct.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Tom, I have a question. What is this gonna cost?
The total will be just under $110,000.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Allison. Are there any other questions from the board?
Yes, I have one question. Can you just explain why this is the increase is an emergency?
Why the increases or why the general need for it?
The general need.
From what I understand, this vendor will help with the connectivity services that we need, and I believe that would have an operational impact to us if we don't have the data connectivity that we need.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarita. Any other questions? Okay, so let's vote. All in favor of approving calendar item 18, authorization to enter into an agreement with Crown Castle Fiber LLC to provide internet and security services to the Board of Education Retirement System. All in favor? Aye, Tom.
Hi, John.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Angela.
Hi, Marjorie.
Any opposed?
Hi, Allison.
Any abstentions? Okay.
Sorry, Tom, I just want to be clear. I said aye, but I meant I oppose.
Right. No, I got that. I got it. So, let's see. Okay. So the outcome here is, it looks like everybody agreed. There were no abstentions and Allison Hirsch opposed. Okay. The next item on our agenda is calendar item 19, adoption of Board of Education Retirement System Code of Ethics. May I have a motion to consider, please?
Motion from John.
Thanks, John. May I have a second, please?
Again, Caleres.
Thank you, Dr. Salas Ramirez. Let's see. Alex, could you please tell us about this resolution?
Of course. Thank you very much, Chair. This is a continuation of a conversation that this board was having at the last meeting. Basically, connected to the next resolution is going to have some training opportunities on ethics and fiduciary duty. You're going to be hearing from learning and development. This is another part of the same effort, just to formalize certain obligations here. If the board wishes, this is a code of ethics, which contains 10 sort of basic rules. Nothing here is really new. This basically captures either common law obligations or obligations under the city charter and other applicable laws. It just places them in one convenient place so that this can be distributed to staff, and we can make sure that everybody's clear on certain responsibilities. It's very similar to one that NYCBERS also has.
Thank you, Alex. I do have one question before I just open it up for questions. And I guess my question would be, because these meetings are will be like posted to our YouTube, our channel when this is all done. Could you, on a high level, explain what some of these 10 items are?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so I just want to note, if at any point the board wants some legal counsel, we can of course go into an attorney-client session, but I don't think that what I'm about to say qualifies as that. It's going, if you have a legal question, we can take it into a special session. So without further ado, it contains the obligation of employees to do their job diligently, to comply with BERS and city policies, to notify their supervisor of non-compliance with policy that comes to their attention, not to use BERS equipment and other resources for personal use, not to conduct personal business during work hours, not to intentionally damage or interfere with the property of BERS or anyone else, not to send any communications that are harassing, defamatory, threatening, or inappropriate, to be truthful in connection with any BERS operation, employee policy, or investigation, and not to grant any unauthorized privileges or favors to anyone in connection with any of their official duties. And lastly, to be strict about the confidentiality of BERS and member information. So these are all duties that bind employees already as a result of other applicable laws and city policies, but this is a kind of a distillation in simple and plain language and in one place.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. Are there any questions from the board?
This is Allison. I just have a quick question. So is there anything new here, or this is all covered in trainings that already exist due to legal frameworks?
The obligations all exist due to existing frameworks. In terms of trainings, the answer is a little more complicated. Some of these are covered in COIB's biennial conflict of interest trainings, which all city employees must take. But some of the rules here are not really conflict of interest rules, they're just professionalism rules. But in any case, nothing here creates an additional obligation, I would argue, that didn't really exist before. But there's some, you know, it formalizes certain things and puts certain basic high-level things in one place.
Okay. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Alex. Are there any other questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, let's vote. All in favor of approving calendar item 19, adoption of Board of Education Retirement System Code of Ethics, please indicate your approval now. Aye, Tom.
Hi, John.
Hi, Karina.
Hi, Caleras. Hi,
Hi,
Marjorie.
Maria.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Angela.
Hi, Sarita.
I, Allison, though I don't know that this goes far enough, but I approve. This is a first step.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is calendar item 20, guidance for BERS executives concerning fiduciary duties and conflicts of interest. May I have a motion to discuss?
Motion from John.
Thanks, John. May I have a second, please?
Second, Caleras.
Thank you, Dr. Salas Ramirez. So last meeting, trustees requested that BERS staff research various options for fiduciary training for trustees and staff. We have Lydia Amin, Deputy Director of Learning and Development, to report back. Lydia?
Yes,
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Lydia Amim. I'm the Learning and Development Deputy Director. So following a request from the board, BERS Learning and Development Unit, which is myself, began the process of visiting the market to learn more about the fiduciary training services offered by various vendors. Based upon the initial information collected, it appears that the fiduciary training offered will be most appropriate for the executive, legal, and investment strategy teams. BERS will issue a formal solicitation for fiduciary training in the upcoming weeks. So as mentioned by Alex, all staff will receive training from NYC Conflict of Interest Board, which is COIB. There is a mandate for city employees to receive training from COIB biannually. So the entire BERS staff took the COIB training in November 2021. We are working with COIB to schedule the next training first quarter of 2023. Thank you, and if you have any questions.
Okay, so thank you, Lydia. Are there any questions from the board?
Sorry, this is Allison. I know I'm a pain in the butt. I apologize. So we're gonna I know you're surveying the market. Are we gonna be putting out an RFP to identify?
You know, the first step is really understanding what's out there in the market for me to write a comprehensive SOW, which is a service that I will present to the procurement team. Sabrina can speak about the next step.
Yes, based on the scope and what the research that we've gathered, at that point we would do a competitive solicitation. It may be a proposal, likely a request for proposals, and we'll visit the market with our requirements and see what we get.
Great. And just one thought is that as you're surveying the market, I'm sure you're thinking about this already, but I think the other systems do have some of this training in-house, the other 4 retirement systems. So checking out what they do would be a good.
Yes, that is true, Allison. I reached out to our colleagues, and most of the recommendations came from them. I reached out to the providers they already working with. That is true.
Great. Thank you so much, Lydia and Sabrina.
You're welcome. Thank you, Allison.
So this is Tom. I actually have a question for Lydia and Sabrina.
Yes.
So I would be interested in knowing when we talk about fiduciary training or like, how does that differ for BERS executives than it would for, let's say, trustees, right? Because you know, in my time as a member on this trustee board, I had an opportunity last year to attend like an NCBERS conference where there was part of that training was around fiduciary responsibility. So I am interested in knowing how this differs, because I know it's for like the executive team, right, at BERS, or the executive like management team at BERS. So how would that apply to, let's say, trustees, for example?
Oh, that's a very good question, Tom. I actually asked this question to some of the vendors that we have. Again, in the process of understanding the market, you know, most of them told me that there is no major difference. It's exactly the same content. It's exactly the same training. Maybe the difference will be in, you know, the discussions, some applications and examples, but the major content is exactly the same.
Okay, if I could, you know, I would say provided this resolution passes, right? I would like to see perhaps this training also be offered as an option for trustees as well.
Of course.
Okay, so are there any other questions from the board? All right, so this was an item for discussion, right, Alex?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. We're not asking the board for any action in relation to this. It's just an update from Lydia. Thank you. And
Okay.
definitely we were contemplating this for trustees as well. That was definitely
Okay.
part of the scope.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is an executive session to discuss a disciplinary matter affecting 2 employees. An executive session is a portion of an open meeting during which the public may be excluded. As per Public Officers Law, Section 105, subsection 1F, executive sessions may be held if the discussion is about matters leading to the employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person. May I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Thanks, Kyle. Oh, and just for the just to update the record, Kyle Kimball is here as well. May I have a second, please?
Second, Angela Green.
Thank you, Angela. So let's vote. All in favor of entering executive session? Aye, Tom.
Hi, Karina.
Hi, Kyle Kimball.
Hi, Angela.
Hi, Marjorie.
Hi, Allison. Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry. Any opposed?
I'm opposed, Tom.
Thanks, John. And any abstentions?
Abstain, Greg.
Okay. So, Sharon, if you can please enter, create the breakout room and enter.
Sorry, can
I'm
we
sorry
ask
to
a point of
interrupt, Tom.
clarification?
Yeah.
If
Go ahead, Allison. Yeah.
if John is opposed and there's no
Oh.
labor support of the motion, are we still
Oh.
allowed to go into
No,
executive session?
Allison is correct. The motion can't pass without a labor
Fair enough.
trustees vote.
Fair enough. Thank you. Fair enough. So with that, we do not have approval to enter into executive session. All right. All right.
Do we have to enter executive session? A point of clarification. Do we have to enter executive session to discuss the matter?
Yes.
Does the board wish to discuss that issue in attorney-client, or Darren's still here and I'm here, but Darren, should we go into attorney-client? What do you think? Is it?
I mean, there is some clarification on that point that I could offer. Yep.
Okay. So I guess the next thing would be, is there a motion to enter into attorney-client session to discuss this matter?
So moved, Karina.
Thank you, Karina. May I have a second, please?
Second, Kyle Kimball.
Okay. So with that said, all those in favor of entering attorney-client session, please indicate your approval.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Karina.
Hi, Kyle.
Clearest.
Hi, Cherie.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed, Tom.
Opposed, Angela.
Okay, and
Marjorie, oppose.
and I am also opposed. So that was, let me make sure I get this right. So that was John, Marjorie, Angela,
And Greg, I oppose also.
Greg, and Tom. All right. So again, with Oh, and I have to ask, are there any abstentions? Sorry.
I believe Sarita's logged off, so abstain, Ben.
Okay. All right. So, like the executive session, because we do not have approval by our labor member, there were also, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opposed, 1 abstention. The motion does not pass. All
So-
right. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question? I know Kyle asked if we have to go into executive session or attorney-client to have this conversation, but my understanding from open meetings law is that it's a may, not must. So I assume this motion would fail, but is it in order to make a motion to have this discussion in public session? Is that allowable?
No, it's not necessary. So as you say, this section of the open meetings law permits a public body to discuss certain matters in executive session. It doesn't require it. So I just want to point out, we are in public session right now. I strongly advise the board not to seek legal counsel in public session because this is not confidential, but I'm answering the question that was posed. Thank you.
So I would like to make a motion to discuss the disciplinary matters in public session.
So Allison moves to discuss these items in public session. Is there a second?
Seconded, Kyle Kimball.
Okay. So all in favor of discussing these items in public session, please indicate your approval now. Okay. All those opposed to discussing this item in public session? Okay,
John.
I see John is opposed. I am also opposed.
Karina.
Opposed, Caleres.
Opposed, Sheree.
Opposed, Angela.
Opposed, Greg.
Okay. So with that, the motion fails and we will not discuss this item in public session, executive session, or attorney-client session. Let's see. Give me 1 second, y'all. All right. Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda for today's meeting is calendar item 21, appointment of a trustee to the Comptroller Strategic Accountability and Tactical Review Oversight Committee. May I have a motion to consider, please?
Motion?
That was Allison?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Allison. May I have a second, please?
Second, Kyle Kimball.
Thank you, Kyle. So, Allison, could you please tell us about the STAR Oversight Committee?
Sure. So we circulated a memo to the trustees, I think at the end of September. I want to say September 30th. I can't remember exactly. Announcing the intention of the Comptroller's Office, the Bureau of Asset Management, to embark on what we're calling the Strategic and Tactical Accountability Review. And basically, some of you may know this, many of you not. In 2015, BAM asked a consultant group called Funston to do an overall assessment analysis of BAM operations and look at how the Bureau of Asset Management was or was not effectively managing the pension dollars that we are asked to manage, and made the Funston report came out with a number of recommendations to professionalize the Bureau and really tighten up the operations and controls. Steve Meyer is the new CIO. There had been a lot of interest coming out of that report. Again, it was 2015, 7 years ago. as the controller got elected and started talking to trustees, there was interest in doing some kind of follow-up report, but concern that that one didn't actually have any trustee participation at all. When Steve Meyer, the new CIO, started like really understanding the 5 different systems, the work that BAM does, he also said we should really do an analysis and an update analysis to ensure that what we are doing within BAM most effectively serves the trustees and the beneficiaries. And so are embarking on this strategical and tactical review that we're calling the STAR project. Different than any time in the past, we are trying to get oversight engagement from trustees. And so what we're doing in partnership with the 5 boards is identifying trustee representatives from each of the systems to sit on an oversight committee. The oversight committee will work with CIO, controller's team to develop the scope of the review, to make sure that we're asking the right questions and having whoever we come in to do this review look at the right things and the things that trustees care about, beneficiaries care about. And the oversight committee will also have a role in selecting the consultant who will take on the review. And then we hope that the members of the oversight committee will stay engaged throughout the process, give feedback to the consultant, be able to as we're embarking on the process, and then, you know, assess the final report and recommendations, and work with us to say which are the recommendations that like collectively trustees think we should move forward on, which don't make sense, etc. So, you know, we're asking each of the systems to appoint 1 trustee. I will be representing the controller on it. Obviously Steve Meyer, the CIO, will be on it. And right now, Brian Berge from the Mayor's Office of Pension Investments is going to be represented, and then a trustee from fire, from police, from teachers. We're still finalizing the NYCBERS trustee. And so I sent an email last week saying that we want to make sure that somebody from BERS is represented as well.
Thank you, Allison. So are there any questions or comments from the board on this?
I have my hand up. I have a question. This is for Tom. Are we voting on this tonight? Or
Yeah.
is this just a discussion?
Well, I think we haven't gotten to the is there a volunteer to join part yet, right? So I'm kind of with you, John. I want to kind of understand this better. You know, not that I would throw my name in the hat at this particular moment, but I would really like to understand this a little better before we ask for volunteers. Because, you know, I'll just say it this way. It's like, if we ask for volunteers now without a full understanding of what it is we're actually doing, one, it may set people up to be a part of something that they, you know, may not be interested in, and vice versa. You may have someone that may be interested but needs more information in order to and in order to be kind of, I'll just say, an enthusiastic volunteer. So
For what it's worth, Tom, I agree 100%. I mean, I have no problem listening to what it may be, but you know, I'm not, as we sit here right now, I'm not comfortable voting on this tonight, but I'll listen to whatever anybody has to say.
So I just want for one point of information, because this is it's not technically an act of the boards. None of the other, this is, I mean, if we want to vote, we can. The other systems have just informally identified somebody to represent. So I don't believe a vote is required, which is not to say that I'm saying a decision needs to be made today either. But I do want to just flag that. And then the other thing I failed to say is that the first meeting of the Oversight Committee will be on November 28th. So that's just so that you all know.
And I just wanted to say that if, if I understand it better, I may actually volunteer to do this, but I'm not volunteering now until I know more about it.
Is there something, do you want me to, would it be helpful to recirculate the memo?
You could recirculate it, but, I'm not gonna, we have some more agenda items, so, I'm not gonna have a chance to look at it till tomorrow at the
Yeah,
earliest.
that's fine. I guess I would be interested in understanding if there's something specific that you want to know more about, like if there are specific questions or it's more general that you haven't had a chance to review it yet.
No, it's more general. I mean, if you wanna talk about it, by all means, the floor is yours. You could talk about it, but I do need a little bit more time on it though.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you, Allison. I do see Dr. Salas Ramirez and Greg Faulkner's hands up. So if you guys want to go next.
Yeah, I think some of the things that would be helpful in this space is like, how many times are you expecting to meet? How long are those meetings? Are they in person? Are they during the day? Like, what's the structure? Because I think folks here are pretty stretched, and so time commitment would be
Those are
really important.
Great questions. So at the moment, the first meeting is during the day, 12 to 2. I think one of the, structural challenges between BERS and the other systems, as you know, is that most of the other systems they're not volunteers, right? And so it's 11:30 to 1:30 actually on Monday. I think, so the first meeting is 2 hours. I think one of the decisions we have to make as a group is how frequently and for what length of time. I think the vision is monthly for about 2 hours. I imagine there will be times when it is more frequent than that as we're ramping things up, or potentially less than that over the course of the process. But that is the goal, and it would be during the workday.
Thank you, Dr. Salas Ramirez. Did you have another question?
Just quickly, like, I'm assuming it's remote.
We can make it hybrid. I think it's either.
Thank you. Greg Faulkner, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just as a procedural question, because I have some of the same concerns. Would a motion to table be appropriate so that we could have additional time? Because I'd like to get additional information also. And it's probably my fault, but because I have a problem with I assume this was sent to the DOE email, and I have difficulty accessing that. So I'm learning about this for the first time, basically.
So
If Greg is making a motion to table, I'm gonna second it.
Yep, that's what I was going to ask. So,
Greg,
are you
appropriate? If it's appropriate, yeah, I would like to make a motion to table.
okay? So I have a motion to table this agenda item, appointment of trustee to Comptroller Strategic Accountability and Tactical Review Oversight Committee. Is there a second on tabling that motion?
Second from John.
Thank you, John. Is there any discussion on the tabling?
Chair, this is to postpone to the next meeting of the board. Is that correct?
That's correct. I should have been more specific. Sorry about that. So we're and Greg, correct me. I don't want to misrepresent your motion here. Are you moving to table this this item until our next regularly scheduled Board of Trustee meeting?
Yeah, that would be fine. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. And John, are you okay with seconding that?
Yes, I second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion on tabling this item? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of tabling calendar item 21, appointment of trustee to Comptroller Strategic Accountability and Tactical Review Oversight Committee until our next regularly scheduled Board of Trustee meeting, please indicate your approval by saying aye or in favor. In favor, Tom.
In favor, Greg.
John.
In favor, Sheree.
In favor, Karina.
In favor, Angela.
In
Oh,
favor.
okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain, Allison.
Thank you, Allison.
Yeah, I'll abstain as well. It's Kyle. Don't really
Okay,
care.
thank you. Thank you, Kyle. So with Allison and Kyle abstaining, everyone else approves. The motion to table carries. So the next item on the agenda is calendar item 22, appointment of a disability committee member. May I have a motion to consider, please?
Motion from John.
Thanks, John. May I have a second, please?
Second, Caleres.
Thank you, Dr. Salas Ramirez. So the Disability Committee meets as needed to review applications for disability retirement. The committee reviews medical recommendation, reports prepared by medical board, and makes recommendations to the full Board of Trustees, who will then issue final determinations regarding those applications. We're looking for a volunteer to serve on the Disability Committee to replace Anthony Lopez. The current composition of the Disability Committee is as follows. There is myself, and I believe Anthony was my alternate, which is now vacant. There's Janelle Chacon with Marjorie Dienstag as Janelle's as the alternate for Janelle. There's John Maderick with Nicholas Sudo as the alternate. There's Donald Nesbitt with Sean Francois as the alternate, and then Benjamin Shanback with Russell Buckley or Sarita Scott as the alternate. Alex, did I get that right?
In essence, yes. So, Tom, you were the alternate for
I was the
Tony.
alternate?
Yes. So with Tony gone, you're the
Oh, okay, got
you're
you.
stepping into his shoes, and now you need an alternate yourself.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the correction there. So is there a volunteer to join the Disability Committee?
This would be a volunteer to be your alternate, Tom.
That's correct.
If there's no one else, hopefully there will be. I'd be willing to do it.
Okay, thank you,
'Cause I
Greg.
just need to during the day, and I'm retired, and I can make the meetings. I know other people have scheduled meetings.
Cool. Thank you, Greg.
Sure.
So I'm going to say thank you, Greg. Are there any other volunteers here?
Please.
Oh, here we go, Greg. Hearing none.
Okay.
All in favor of Greg Faulkner joining the Disability Committee as my alternate, please indicate your approval now. Aye, Tom.
Aye, Angela.
Aye, Caleres.
Maria.
Hi, Sarita.
Hi, Sheree.
Hi, Kyle Kimball.
Aye, Allison.
All right. Well, I guess congratulations are in order there, Greg.
Hating whether to abstain, but thank you all.
Okay. So, so that that item passed, or that motion passed unanimously. The final item on the agenda is calendar item 23, appointment of an audit committee member. May I have a motion to consider, please?
Motion from John.
Thanks, John. May I have a second, please?
Second, Caleres.
Thank you, Dr. Salas Ramirez. All right. So we are looking for a volunteer to serve on the audit committee to replace Anthony Lopez. The audit committee assists the board in carrying out its oversight responsibilities over the internal audit function, the system of internal controls, governance, risk management, and compliance. The committee meets the committee meets quarterly and may convene additional meetings as deemed necessary. The term of office for a committee member is 2 years. The current term of the audit committee will end December 2023. The composition of the audit committee is as follows. Right now we have, and Alex, is this one where
It's
Anthony
the same
was?
exactly. Yes, yes.
Okay.
So now Greg is the committee member and Greg needs an alternate.
Got you. So Greg was the alternate and is now the committee member, and Greg needs an alternate, so that's vacant. We have John Maderick with Nicholas Sudo as the alternate, Alan Ong as the member with Allison Hirsch as the alternate, Ben Shanback as a member with Russell Buckley or Sarita Scott as the alternate, and myself as a member with Karina Tavares as the alternate. Is there a volunteer to join the audit committee?
Marjorie Dinstag.
All right, thanks, Marjorie. Are there any other volunteers? Okay, so here we go, Marjorie. So all those in favor of Marjorie Dienstag joining the audit committee, please indicate your approval now. I approve, Tom.
Approve, Greg.
Hi, Angela.
Maria.
Approve, Calearis.
Approve, Cherie.
Okay, are there any abstentions? Oh, I jumped over opposed. Look at that. Are there any opposed? All right, I'm trying to get right to it. And are there any abstentions? All right, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Welcome, Marjorie, to the audit committee. Okay, so that concludes the agenda for this meeting. The next meeting of the BERS Board of Trustees is scheduled for December 20th, 2022. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion, John.
Thank you, John. May I have a second, please?
Second, Marjorie.
Thank you, Marjorie. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please indicate your approval now.
Yes, Greg.
Approved, Tom.
Approve, Cherie.
Approved,
Approved,
Sarita.
Angela.
Approved, Karina. Maria.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I oppose.
Oh.
There's people that want to speak.
Any abstentions? All right, so with Dr. Salas Ramirez in opposition and everyone else approving, the meeting is now adjourned. So thank you and good evening, everyone.
Good night, all.
Thanks, folks.
Have a
Good
good
evening.
evening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.